forward to our fireside chat on connected workforce, a new way of delivering agile work models. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our moderator, Mr. Sharat Chandra, blockchain and emerging tech evangelist. May I also present to you our expert speakers for this session. A very warm welcome to Mr. Francis Rodrigues, Senior Vice President, Business Insights, HDFC Life. May I also extend a warm welcome to Mr. Alok Khanna, Executive Director, Strategic IS, Indian Oil Corporation Limited. And may I now hand over the session to Mr. Chandra.
Thanks, Isha, for the introduction. A warm welcome to Mr. Khanna and Mr. Rodrigues for the fireside chat and to the audience as well who have joined us virtually. Now, let me begin today's session by quoting one of the recent reports published by McKinsey. So McKinsey says that after the pandemic is over, whenever that happens, most of the workforce, more than 50% of the workforce, will look forward to working in a remote or a hybrid work model. Now, given this particular context, many organizations, they are transforming to a anywhere organization model with a distributed workforce at the core of their philosophy. Now, this has also opened a new debate around how many industries will look to adopt these new workforce models and what are some of the challenges they are grappling with. So given this particular context, I would like to put the first question to Mr. Khanna and seek his views on what he thinks about the changes or challenges with respect to business transformation if we're looking at a distributed workforce model. And do you think the hybrid or remote work model will be here to stay?
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon for inviting me for this chat, and very happy to share platform with both of you. Ours is oil and gas industry, basically a process industry where there are refineries, there are working terminals and plants, and then there is a sales force also and office work also. So Indian Oil is quite a big organization. It exists in every nook and corner of the country, and ours is in any case will remain a hybrid model, means there will be physical work which have to be performed in the location, and then there is a field force, sales force, which will have to adopt to the hybrid work model of work from home or going to office. So in our case, the changeover was very smooth last year. Of course, the refineries kept on working, the terminals kept on working, but then the office working and the field force working, yes, they had to adopt. And I believe this is going to be the order of the day, and we will, for the next 1 or 2 years, we will have to adopt to it, and we'll have to develop ways and means to bring work from home more and more into our working. And not only that, even physical plants, what I find is that the remote monitoring of plants, that is also going to be one of the key process in our, which is going to come in our working. And one of the projects what we are doing in the digital transformation of Indian Oil is building up a central data lake, which is bringing data from all the OT platforms into one single platform, which is going to be the key for developing monitoring mechanism, analytics, or outsourcing it to OEMs to continuously monitor using the IT platforms. So more and more IT OT integration, I am seeing it. And that is what is going to be the connected workforce we would really mean. Harnessing the power of IT by integrating with OT. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Khanna, for your views. And I think you rightly pointed about the remote monitoring of plants. And given the way emerging technologies like 5G, once they get a full rollout in India, remote monitoring of plants will become a much more seamless process. Now, let me come to Mr. Rodrigues and seek his views on especially industries like life insurance or healthcare, where customer centricity is always at the core of what businesses do. So given this particular mantra, I would say customer centricity or user experience of consumers, how a transition to a remote model or a hybrid work model has been challenging for organizations like yours?
Sure. So thank you, Sharat. I think, if you were to look at life insurance as an industry, it's a very, so to speak, a high-touch industry, right? It's people speaking to people, and therefore insurance policies being sold. And usually, in the sort of pandemic era, the way this was done is you would have a financial consultant, or you'd have an employee, company representative sitting with the customer, preparing a sort of a cash flow plan on paper, and then having that conversation with the customer and convincing him and working out his best investment. Obviously, this becomes much more difficult in an environment where you cannot have those face-to-face conversations anymore. The other challenge is also, I think, being a large organization and having a large number of people. How do you ensure that everybody is connected? They have access to all the tools that they need to work, access to data, access to enablers for their respective jobs, whether it's in sales or in support functions or in operations, and across the entire sort of value chain. The third element is also around I would say to some extent risk mitigation, with more and more people accessing information and data from their homes, and the attack surface increases, right? And the likelihood of slip at some end also increases. So how do you ensure that while you enable all this, you do it with a great deal of security, both for the data as well as respecting the privacy of your employees? So I think when you put all this together, these three challenges, how do you re-envision the customer-facing dimension? How do you re-envision or use data more extensively to kind of act as the lubricating oil or fluid across the entire organization? And third is, how do you mitigate risk while at the same time respecting privacy? I think these are the three elements which form the top challenges to my mind.
Thanks, Mr. Rodrigues. So, and I think the regulator also, they have been very forthcoming with respect to bringing in regulations for video KYC or eKYC for onboarding new customers. And I believe that will also help people in this particular domain bring more users on board digitally rather than doing an in-person verification or in-person issuance of policies. So let me also try and get your views on the issues around security or risk challenges, because as more and more people get distributed, the edge security also becomes one of the challenges, right? How do you recommend organizations can mitigate those risks with respect to security, hacking, and all that stuff?
So the two aspects to it. One is organizations actually need to be a lot more open. Otherwise, collaboration and this connected workforce will not be possible, right? So let me give you a few examples. So today, the selling of policies is more or less shifted to a digital medium where, much like the Zoom call we are on, there are, custom-made software packages where salesperson, the customer can interact with each other. They can basically, do illustrations on a whiteboard and explain to the customer the same thing that they were doing with pen and paper. And while this is all useful and important, permissions with regards to permission from customers to record these calls, to ensure that there's no customer information which is leaked at any point in time is again a very important element. Similarly, in insurance, again, another thing that used to happen is people walking into the branch for branch servicing. I'll give you an example, right? Senior citizens generally are pensioners. And in order to get their pension payout, every month, once in a quarter, once in a year, they need to kind of walk into the branch and kind of show that they're alive, provide their proof. Right? This is the last sort of, mile, and it's very unfair of any organization to expect, insurer, especially senior citizens to kind of leave their homes in this kind of a scenario. So how do you do that? So today there's enough, applications with the help of both face recognition as well as liveliness check to kind of do it from the comfort of your home. So you turn on your phone, you turn on the app, you do the face recognition software recognizes you and basically verifies you, rather authenticates you with the existing information you have. You do a liveness check, you know that it's not a photo of a photo or a video of a video, and you can continue to get paid your annuity from the comfort of your home. However, having said that, you'll have increased number of people now accessing this data. So our call centers are operating wherein people are operating from their homes and managing customer data, which is available from central systems. You have various other pieces. How do you continue to access this data at the same time ensure that there's no unauthorized person accessing this data? So one way is to use the same, apart from a password which can be shared or SMSed and everything else, you still have checks such as, say again, something like a face authentication, which can happen every time the employee logs into his app, and then maybe if he is basically dormant on the app for some period of time, it happens again. It's like a request. So it's not. It still respects the privacy of the employee. It's not as if the camera turns on and takes pictures randomly. But at the same time, unless he kind of authenticates, if he's inactive for some period of time, he doesn't have access anymore. So these are some ways and techniques which people are using to kind of ensure that data is secure.
Thanks. So let me come to Mr. Khanna and get his views on as more and more workforce gets redistributed or work in a distributed model. Engaging employees always remains a challenge if you're working remotely or doing a hybrid remote work. So how do you think technology can be leveraged to enhance employee experience or employee engagement and improve productivity using collaborative tools? Your thoughts on that, please?
Actually, the differentiated or distributed workforce means more and more exposure of internal systems to the outside world. And to me, that differentiated workforce would not necessarily be companies' own employees, even third-party organizations, OEMs, or even bots. They are also a part of the workforce. And meaning thereby, you have to have more API-based systems. And I remember when we implemented the direct benefit transfer of LPG in 2015, the systems were directly or indirectly exposed to many external systems like 15 crore customers, UIDAI, 1,000 plus banks, NIC, oil marketing companies. So it had to integrate with many systems. The usual cybersecurity risks like DOS or DDoS, they were always there. They are still there. But now even the cyber criminals have graduated to more sophisticated techniques like ransomware, phishing, etc. So, and Indian Oil in particular, we are being regarded as the nation's critical infrastructure because we are having refineries which are of national importance. So we have to be extra cautious in guarding our data. Even at times, we are not allowed to send the real-time data of our equipments also. By seeing the real-time data of our equipment, people might be able to gauge whether we are running the refinery at 50% capacity or 100% capacity. So even to that extent, we have to take care. And we have to be very closely, not only working with our third-party auditors whom we have to appoint regularly for doing VAPT tests, but also we have to partner with reputed organizations like CDAC, NCIA, PC, etc. And we are always on guard because the threats are real and people are every time trying to hack our systems. And not only this incident, even what we regularly do is we do a cybersecurity phishing exercise to our internal employees regularly. Once we send the phishing mails, then we send the phishing SMS, And believe me, the first time we did it, the failure rate was, ultimately we are trying to ask the employee to divulge his user ID and password. And at the time of writing the password, we used to tell the employee that you are about to be hacked. So the first time we did the exercise, the failure rate was 10%, which the second time, third time, fourth time, we brought it down to 2%, which is the acceptable limit. So people out of ignorance, or you can say whatever way, they can be lured into phishing attacks, and then you have it once they are able to enter into your systems. So yes, it's a reality. You have to open it. You have to use the technology. Industry 4.0 technology will work on exposing your systems. And at the same time, you are secure only till the time you are hacked. So we have to be constantly on guard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khanna. And I think you rightly pointed about the importance of security in a distributed work model. And as Workforce 4.0, because we are in Industry 4.0 era, as Workforce 4.0 becomes more agile, more borderless, security will always be of prime importance. I would also like to get your views about Mr. Rodrigues and your views on automation, and how do you think, what are some of the processes which are bound to be more automated in days and months to come, starting from, let's say, Mr. Khanna, in manufacturing or in engineering to life insurance as well? What are some of the processes you see are bound to be disrupted and automated in the days and months to come? Mr. Khanna, would you like to go first?
Would you be kind enough to repeat your question, please?
Sure. So what I wanted to get your views on about automation. So what do you think, what are some of the processes in oil and engineering which are bound to be disrupted and automated in the near future?
Okay. So what I find is, I have been leading the digital transformation team of IOC, and we have been working on this project for the last 2 years. And there are certain good technologies which we have adopted well, and there are certain very, very promising technologies which are yet to mature. So I'll go with the technology which we have really employed as of now. The technology which we have employed very successfully is the AI/ML based analytics models. And these analytics models are not the simple analytics, but it's about taking up a use case, business use case, and demonstrating them that yes, there could be a process benefit. The things like optimization of yield of process units in a refinery, or optimizing the cleaning schedule of heat exchangers in a refinery, or the process control, advanced process control tags are there. Some of them are working, some of them not working, but you create a dashboard and tell the units that, okay, your process control, which of your process controls are not working. These were some of the things which were missing. And with machine learning based models, we have been able to physically demonstrate to the business that yes, there is a benefit in going for optimization of yield based on the revenue the streams can generate, or even like I told, heat exchanger. Now there is a train of heat exchanger, around 70 heat exchangers in a refinery. Now if you want to clean everything in a shutdown, during shutdown, then there is a huge cost, and shutdown will also take a lot of time. Whereas if you can have an online model which can generate analytics that, okay, this heat exchanger is going to consume more energy effective 7 days or 10 days from now. So you won't wait till the shutdown month, and you will take it off the line and clean it. So these are some of the things which our people have really appreciated. Similarly, the technologies like robotic process automation, it holds a lot of promise. We are already implementing it, and the user groups have really appreciated it. They are adopting it. They are coming out with new use cases. The other thing which I told about the central data lake. So it's the Industry 4.0 is, again, what it is bringing is it is bringing OT closer to the IT. So OT domains which were very opaque to the IT till now they are coming to the fore, and the technology is merging it, both of them, and this central data lake, which is bringing the real-time data to a central platform. Even before the lake is ready, the user group has already identified in our company what are the benefits they can take out of it, out of the central data lake, and how they can monitor their equipments better sitting in the headquarters or office of a refinery. We are also trying, other than this, we are also trying to bring in more digitization in maintenance and inspection, shutdown management, pricing, even prediction of churn of customers. Now, machine learning models can definitely predict based on the frequency and recency of purchase by a customer that whether this customer is going to go out of my fold and go to other supplier, or then what action should I do if the analytics can predict 3 months in advance. So these are the kind of technology which we are developing and adopting, and it's my own belief that there are technologies like blockchain. They hold a lot of promise, but unfortunately we at least in oil and gas industry, we have found that it is still not in the maturity stage. To me, with interacting with a lack of vendors, and those vendors who are even outside the country also, blockchain holds a lot of promise. And we are dealing with many statutory authorities also within India and outside also. So this is one technology which I am looking up to, but probably in 1 year time it will, or 1 or 2 years time it will mature. Other than that, the technology like AR, VR, they are definitely holding a lot of promise. We are all adopting to them. This is how it is. And then most importantly, we are trying to take these technologies to the users through regular training and competitions we are organizing. So we are organizing hackathons, we are organizing training programs for during hackathons. And what I have found is that normal business user also gets trained very easily on these technologies. They are simple to use, and it's bringing more and more employees into the becoming more tech oriented. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Khanna. And I'm really excited about your views on blockchain. And once the technology matures, we would see more adoption of technologies like blockchain in oil engineering space as well. Now, let me come to Mr. Rodrigues and get your views on the automation. What do you think? What are some of the processes, apart from the routine, repetitive processes which are getting automated in the insurance space? What are some of the other areas where automation is about to happen or should happen to improve customer experience?
Sure. I'll take a technology lens on this and, basically kind of look at it from each of these technologies. What are the respective processes that are getting impacted? So I'll start with the one which Mr. Khanna has anyway spoken about, which is basically how predictive analysis, machine learning is being used more and more. So today, I think across the entire insurance value chain, right from new business in terms of customer propensity, product recommendations, to basically risk assessment during underwriting of insurance policies as to who are the risky lives, who are the less risky lives, to our entire collections, which is called persistency within life insurance in terms of which are the customers who are likely to pay their renewal premiums, when are they likely to pay, right? As well as in terms of claim settlement and everything else, likelihood of early claims or fraud claims, and determining that. I think across the entire value chain, you have both machine learning and predictive modeling being used. Even across, apart from the customer on the employee front, what is likely going to be the performance as well as the likelihood of attrition of employees in the sales force. How many of our financial consultants or distributors are likely to become inactive or start selling less of our policies? Which are the ones from inactive whom we should work on, who are the most likelihood of being active back again? So I think all these are examples of where both predictive modeling and machine learning comes into account. Next, let me speak about text, and I think within AI, text is again something which is very, very big. It allows us to, most of the customers cannot, walk into our branches anymore. So the number of people writing into our, our email desk, chatting with our digital avatars as well as chatbots is tremendously increased. How do you kind of respond back to them, understand, have a good comprehension rate of what the customer is asking, being able to answer back to them in a way which, in compose it in a way which is as if it is a human speaking back to them, and get better and better at comprehension rate and get better at your responses. So I think that the sentiment analysis using text, both on various touch points, email, bots, avatars, etc. I think all this is in the area of text. If I look at computer vision, I think both in terms of sales hacks and demand generation, as well as in terms of risk mitigation, I think it's been used. Face authentication, I've already mentioned a couple of applications, both on the employee as well as the customer front. Apart from that, things like, getting, say, heart rate and blood pressure by simply, placing a thumb on the camera of your phone or your laptop. This is basically a technique called as photoplasmography, which is basically used for that. Being able to kind of get BMI from an image of a customer. So all these are good sales hacks as well as interesting data capture points from an image perspective. Voice is being increasingly used today. You have Google Home and Siri and apps and tricks for them in voice. We are experimenting with voice-based form fill to kind of make the customer journey, especially on the onboarding process, a lot more frictionless, right? So all this again in the area of voice. Video analytics is being used both in terms of, again, risk mitigation at the time of customer declarations, and to see, are the declarations genuine? Can I skip medicals or not skip medicals and things like that? So a host of things across the entire gamut of AI, text, image, voice, video is being used. RPA is today we have almost close to 300 odd bots across the company, between 250 and 300, and they help automate some of the mundane and routine processes, and I think that's a big piece there. So again, as RPA as a technology is kind of gaining a lot of traction. Things around agile and being able to create very quick, fast user journeys using low-code, no-code platforms, and being able to do that, and as your journey kind of you have to keep improvising your journey based on the current reality of the marketplace today. And customer can't walk into the branch. People are not going to diagnostic centers. How do you kind of move things quickly and faster? So I think somewhere these low-code, no-code platforms for quick agile journey, building is really helping. So again, some of the important areas that are there. Some of the other technologies on the anvil, I think AR, VR, and using AR, VR for more than just demand generation, as well as exploring what we can do in areas of blockchain, etc. are all interesting areas that we've not much is done now, but that potentially can in the future. So in answer to the question, I think across the entire customer lifecycle, right, from prospecting, sales, scrutiny, and checking customer onboarding, persistency or renewal collections, policy servicing, claims. I think the entire customer life cycle within life insurance, I think there's different pieces of automation and different technologies being used.
Thank you, Mr. Rodrigues. We have close to 3 minutes left, so I would request each one of you to share your closing remarks on the topic. Mr. Khanna, would you like to go first? Your closing comments, please.
Yeah, actually, it was a very good experience of joining this small conversation. I got to learn a lot from Mr. Francis as well as you, particularly the type of technologies and use cases what Mr. Francis has just told. In fact, we will be happy to replicate some of them in our organization also. And about our plan, what I foresee is that yes, this pandemic is going to stay here for long. We thought that it's over, but suddenly it has again come back and hit us very hard. But this time the difference is that there are no lockdowns and economic activities are going. So now we will have to live with these kind of disturbances while the work is on. So work from home as well as work from factories, it will be a continuous affair. It will go hand in hand, and we will have to be ready for this. And I sincerely believe that IT can play a big role, because here IT can only bring OT closer to the user who is not sitting in office or his factory. So how to make it available at his home also, on his mobile also, that's the technique. Now ours is a unique organization which is having the physical environment also, the factories, and we have a huge customer base also. So Indian Oil is having almost 30 crore customers also. So we have to cater to those customers also, their needs also. So again, how the customer gets connected to us, how we respond to his needs. There are industrial customers, there are retail customers. So all those cases, the new age technologies are going to bring real benefits. Mr. Francis was talking about the customer sentiment analysis. Yes, that's what we did, and we found it to be very useful. Even things like improving your search capabilities for your dealers and distributors within the search engines, that also brings a lot of benefit to you. Even what reviews we place on Google, doing a sentiment or aspect-based analysis on those reviews also could be very beneficial. And our business users, they have really appreciated it. So that's all I want to say, that yes, we have to work very hard and try to bring as much benefit to the user, as business user, as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khanna. Mr. Francis, your closing remarks on the topic, please.
So I'd like to use an analogy here, and this is the analogy of a student graduating from school and going to college. So it's something similar for corporations, right? I mean, with this external lockdown, what has happened is they've really embraced and gone out there with regards to being able to kind of work with a distributed workforce, work with a temp workforce in some cases, with interns, and work with hackathons, with institutes and academia as well. So it's the first time actually they're going out and venturing out in a much bigger way. It was a push which was needed, and I think they've kind of jumped into it with arms open wide. And I think that's the way to kind of learn and be there and kind of keep improving on things that you're doing. What we see perhaps right now over the last one and a half years is version 1 of most digital tools and things like that. As this becomes a new normal, I think we'll have version 2 and version 3, which are even better. And just with all the worries that parents have with regards to the children going to college, I think most organizations also have the same worries in terms of security and their data being there exposed to the world. And I think that is something that will go hand in hand in terms of how it's going to work. So I think it's exciting times. It's exciting times for the workforce, being able to work flexi hours from their homes and everything else. It's exciting times for organizations being able to interact with their customers in completely new ways. And it's interesting times even for customers who are now able to kind of get a lot of things done from the comfort of their homes rather than visiting branches.
Thanks, Mr. Francis and Mr. Alok, for sharing your insights on the topic. And I believe work from home or work from anywhere will be the new normal going forward. For now on, I would like to hand over to Isha, and we'll wrap this up. Thank you everyone for joining us.